you how a decapitated hand gets high?
I don't know. It breathes? I don't know.
How is it moving on its own? How is it possessed by the devil?
Inside. Anton is trying to lower
How
the
is
lift.
anything happening?
If we allow everything, if we don't have standards, Jamie, then what are we even doing here? Hello and welcome to another episode of the Creature Popcast. I am Michael.
I'm Lindsay.
Today, we are daring to ask the question, what if a movie was a shrug?
Okay.
What if a movie was just a shrug? We're talking about 1999 stoner horror comedy Idle Hands, written by Terry Hughes and Ron Milbauer and directed by Rodman Flender.
Don't know anybody's names.
Nope. The two writers have not had sparkling careers. Rodman Flender began his career in the advertising department of, you guessed it, one of Roger Corman's film companies. He directed The Unborn and Leprechaun 2 before this, and he is the uncle.
Leprechaun 2.
Don't step on my sentence. He is the uncle of Timothy Chalamet. And that's all I have to say about that.
You know, you always hear about how the Chalamets are like sort of like Nepo babies because their family is connected. But now that you've told me that it's like his uncle directed Leprechaun 2, I'd be like, you know what? Timothy Chalamet, he's self-made.
Yeah. And if you look at a picture of Rodman Flender, you're like, oh, that's Chalamet in 25, 30 years. It's crazy.
It's like when we were watching the Sex Lives of College Girls, and I was like, that's
Paula,
his sister.
Paula Chalamet, yeah.
And she looks like...
It is,
Pauline, I believe.
Yeah.
It is weird. I didn't know that it was his sister right away until I like looked it up later, and I was like, oh, it is bizarre when you look at their faces. How they have the same. They look very different.
It's like, what if Timothy Chalamet was stacked?
Yeah. Also, I'm like, oh, okay, so this family makes like small boys and like
busty girls.
Busty girls. There's an episode in the first season because I think she plays Kimberly, where like a guy is in the room with the other girl, Kimberly's roommate, and he's like, is that Kimberly's big ass bra on the bed over there? And I was like, I have that bra, and that's exactly what it looks like. That's what they look like.
Yep.
I was like, representation for how much of a back brace you need.
Yep. Hold that up.
So we went on to this flimsy little movie just to have some fun after some political stuff. So wait, how much you guys want to talk about the mass shooting at Columbine?
I don't want to at all. I lived through that. It was my senior year of high school.
Did they talk about it in the movie?
No. This movie bombed in the box office, kind of because it sucks, but this came out 10 days after Columbine.
I did not know that.
Joe Lieberman, who surely never watched this flick, talked bullshit about it because he was a big video games and movies make teenagers kill.
Except for there's no mass shootings or anything in this movie.
No. Hang on, though. There is gun violence in this movie in one small part, and it's by the fucking cops.
Yes, it was.
There's not a gun used by any of the people in this
why would
movie.
they choose this movie to ban?
Well, real quick.
In 99, I was still...
Middle school, right?
I was like 11.
Okay.
I remember Columbine, but I was still too small. Nobody was talking to me seriously about what was going on. I wasn't watching the news.
I'm sorry, I got in trouble for the coat I was wearing to school.
Yeah,
I was no longer allowed to wear it because it was long and black.
Right. Yeah. So there's stuff like that. Like, I know that this movie was made in 99, but I don't think I watched it in 99. I watched it a few years later. So for me, I wouldn't culturally... Right. Even though I know now looking back, culturally, I wouldn't have put them in the same sort of category because to me, they're two separate items. But I think I was just too small and nobody was explaining the nuances of news and media. And I was just like, well,
a lot of people don't remember. I didn't. I went down a real fun rabbit hole last night about school shootings. Was from March 1998 to April 99, there were 3 significant mass shootings in schools in the U.S. So in 13 months, there were 3 of them, one in Oregon, one in Alabama, and the last one in Colorado. So people were fucking freaked, and it's kind of understandable.
And how many are we at
now?
God.
Columbine has fallen to number 5. We just casually do school shootings every day.
It's like 200 a year or something like that. Jeez. I remember seeing something or reading something on the internet where like...
correct. But
gun incidents in schools. Yeah. Okay, so like
do your own research.
Yes, do your own research. But I remember reading something where it was like comparing other countries' gun incidences in schools, and it's like 10, 8, 7, United States 220 or some shit like that.
We're real good. Nobody's been better
Yeah.
Talk about we want to make America great again. We are number one in those school shootings.
What cannot be disputed is the number one cause of death to young people in this country is gun violence.
Yes.
And that since Columbine has fallen to the 5th most deadliest since then, and I had to scroll through them to get to Columbine when doing my research last night. Columbine killed 15 students, injured 24, I believe, and that is the 5th deadliest since this movie came out. And once again, this is a movie of carver knives and blades and all kinds of flip stuff.
A bagel cutter.
A bagel cutter.
Yeah.
We're going to get to the bagel guillotine is what it's called. But
wouldn't it be nice if all the deaths in America were just like demonic related possessions instead of...
We had like a roving...
That's a real monkey paw situation. However, in this movie, to get a little more light, go back to being light, human death is not a care in the world.
Yeah.
A lot of people die in this movie.
Yeah.
Everyone just kind of does a funny quip. The real panic in this movie comes from anything that might make you seem gay.
Yeah,
so
well,
Lindsay,
it was 99.
Talk to me about Idle Hands.
I wanted to say, like, one of the reasons why I brought up this movie to watch with you was because I had read that it was getting remade with Jason Reitman.
Yeah, whatever,
Finn
man.
Wolfhard. Yeah.
When? What?
It came out in November that they are going to remake this
Finn
movie.
I thought you just told me that it came out in November. I was like, how did I miss it?
It was talked about in November that Finn Wolfhard is writing with his writing partner for whatever
Why
this
is
movie.
Finn writing it?
Brick
He just came out with this. What is his name?
His name is like Brick Buyer.
Yeah,
It's
so him and his buddy
Buyer.
just had
It's
a movie
weird.
that they wrote and directed for Sundance.
A Hell of a Summer.
It's Hell of a Summer, yeah. I mean, I watched the trailer and I can see the entire movie in the trailer. It's like a summer camp slasher movie.
It's derivative bullshit.
They're just really
Finn Wolfhard needs
young.
to get his fucking grubby hands off of everything.
But he's teaming up with Jason Reitman now at this point to make this
because
movie.
they were both
about
in Jason
Ghostbusters.
Reitman's Ghostbusters
hot
movies,
rat boy,
which were bad.
But anyway, so that's why
it's
I kind
supposed
of
to call him
like...
hot. He's very young. I'm gonna cut that out. He's too young.
I don't like that you get that. I don't get my shit cut. However, Finn Wolfhard is no Devon Sawa. So we need to talk about Devon Sawa.
The crush.
Oh my God.
One of I used to go to a babysitter like 2 houses over from me growing up, and the babysitter had a daughter that was the same age as me. God, she loved Devon Sawa.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's Casper, right?
It was Casper, but it was Now and Then, and that was a huge deal.
Yeah. I was a little too old. Like, he went from... He really hit for me, obviously, with this movie and Final Destination.
Right, of course.
But then
I love Final Destination.
There was a gap where Devon Sawa went from cute boy to stepdad that maybe punches the wall too much. Because he's like buff and rough now.
I mean, like the first time I saw him come back was that Black Friday movie with
not too long ago.
Ash, Evil Dead. What's his name? Bruce Campbell.
Thank you, Jesus.
I know.
Save me, Lindsay. I'm not going to be able to name check my hero.
That was the first time I remember Devon Sawa coming back as an adult for a long time.
He's been in all the episodes of the Chucky show.
Right, and I never watched that.
He's been in a really fucked up movie with John Travolta about... we're not going to get into that. It's very weird.
I think he really went after... like Idle Hands and Final Destination, like a bizarre horror bloody movie.
He disappeared for a while. I read a little about it. I'm like, is Devon Sawa canceled? I end up doing that I do that with almost everybody.
Gotta be sure. We're like, hold on. Gotta see.
He seems cool. He got married, I think, for the first time, the same year as us. He's basically my age. He says cool shit about religious freedoms and everyone needs to find their own path, and that he had some problems with drinking and whatnot and worked his way back, and he seems cool in the gang now.
Cool.
I always think it's funny because he started as a child actor and he had all these like sweet children's movies like Casper and Now and Then and The Little Giants, and
he was in Little Giants.
And then he took a hard turn as he got older. He did like SLC Punk.
He said he took this because he wanted to smoke a lot of weed to do characters with rougher edges to get away from the Casper of it all.
And now that's like, I feel like all he does. Anytime you see Devon Sawa in something, somebody's getting stabbed, somebody's blood, like something crazy's happening.
I'm okay with horror queens and horror kings.
You know what? They just announced Ethan Embry is going to be in the newest Scream. I can't
wait for that. I'm so excited.
I know, it's going to be great.
Ethan Embry.
put Sawa in there, and the only thing that would fuck it up is that, they're both obviously the killers.
Yeah.
That's the Matthew Lillard, Skeet Ulrich
No,
parody.
It'll be fun. It'll be fun
though.
Look,
okay, I guess we should talk about this movie.
For fuck's sake.
I was just more of a JTT girl, if we're talking about.
No.
What is that?
Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Oh, God.
All day, every day, JTT.
Talk about smoke bombing out of Hollywood.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Well, he's a director now and a producer, so he just went behind the screen.
I read recently about Kat Dennings talking about how he came to the set of her new show with Tim Allen and how she was like starstruck because she's probably your age, and how she was like totally starstruck and like
that's
old crush.
Crazy.
I know.
But anyway, Jonathan Taylor Thomas not in this movie.
Let's focus. Focus up.
Okay, yes. Okay. Idle Hands. The movie.
Here we go.
Back in.
Opening credits that don't make any fucking sense.
It's so weird and they're so long, but whatever.
Well, and they also seem like the opening of like Seven.
Yeah, they're very dark.
And then like industrial music.
Yeah, whatever.
All this
it's
weird
the 90s.
Imagery.
So it's Halloween season. Yep. We have a house with jack-o'-lanterns and creepy lawn animals. And then we see Ma and Pa Pumpkinhead in the window.
They're like American Gothic.
American Gothic, yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mrs. Torkelson.
What?
Nobody else as old as me. Okay, Mrs. Torkelson.
Is this Connie Ray, the actor?
Yes.
Okay.
She played in a show, The Torkelsons.
I flipped through a bunch
Disney
of stuff.
In early 90s.
Oh,
you remember?
That was the one that was, they rebranded it.
Yes, it was aired twice. It had
Brittany
was on,
Murphy.
It did it? Yes, I think it did. But
like
it came on for a couple years and then it went off
Guys,
and brought it back.
we
Sorry.
can't keep talking about children's shit. For fuck's sake. Also, Fred Willard.
Yeah, okay. Well, anyways.
So Devin Sawa's dad?
Yeah.
In the movie?
Okay, so
these are
she and her
the
husband
only two
are...
adults in this movie who are about to die.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, that's why I can't remember who his parents are right away, because
they just...
As soon as I saw her face, I was like, Mrs. Torkelson. Sorry, I love the Torkelsons.
Get out of the house.
So she and her husband are going to bed for the night. They're doing their nightly stuff. They kiss goodnight and turn off the lights, and then this big scream. And painted on the ceiling is "I'm under the bed."
Yeah,
and like blacklight paint.
Blacklight paint. Yeah.
Yeah. So then she makes her husband go and look under the bed, and there's nothing
What's
there.
hilarious about this is they go through this. Anton did this.
Yeah.
Anton's too lazy.
I'm not there yet.
I'm just going. My point is, there's a teen in the house. There's a dog in the house. There's a cat in the house. It's all established, and they're worried about a sound. There would be sounds constantly.
Yes. So her husband blames it on Anton, the son, and he also talks about how lazy Anton is. He won't get off the couch, etc. And then they hear a sound of breaking glass or some other thing breaking. So Dad goes downstairs to look at what's going on, and Mom is getting nervous, and she keeps looking up, which is interesting in the movie. And then she grabs her knitting needles and her knitting out of the drawer, like she's going to try to like distract herself. But then a cat, whose name is Bones, like jumps and screams at her, like does that weird cat yowl hiss thing, and it scared the crap out of her. And then we hear Gary, the husband, fall. So the mom goes to investigate, carrying the cat down the hall to go see what's going on.
With you? What's the cat gonna do?
It's a nice name for a bright white cat. I would, if I had a cat that was bright white, I'd name it Bones. That's a good name.
Do you remember what happened to Bones later on in this movie?
Does he die?
No.
No.
Okay.
No, we'll be fine. We'll
Does
talk
he
about the cat
eat
later.
Somebody?
No.
I
Okay,
probably
we'll talk about
blocked
the
it
cat.
out because I was like,
The cat does eat a human body part in this. Yeah, you're
a
right.
finger?
Nope.
No.
I can't remember.
It's okay. Okay, so in the hall, as she's walking down the hall, she pulls the cord on the attic stairs and yells at Anton. So we know now Anton is in the attic, or he lives up there.
Which
or
I
whatever.
hope they have a...
Well, she doesn't yell. She whisper yells, but...
I hope they have a bathroom up there, because how annoying would it be? Because this is one of those, like...
There's no bathroom
pull
up there.
string... You don't know that. But what I'm saying is, if I had my bedroom in an attic that had a full-on, you have to stand on it to make the ladder go down every time you had to take a piss, that would be incredibly annoying.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So she lets the cord go when she hears a sound downstairs and then heads down the stairs. And she sees as she gets downstairs that Gary did not blow out the candles on Ma and Pa Pumpkinhead.
Right.
So she's angry and she's blowing it out and like, you can light the house on fire. And then she stomps away, and as she's doing that, she trips over the flashlight. She falls onto some blood and she smears it all over her hands, and she's obviously screaming in panic. And she starts screaming for Anton, and she runs up the stairs to her bedroom and starts to dial 911. And this is like the slowest 911. It's like,
oh, it's very funny. 9
1 and then
...
phone is ripped out of her hand.
Yeah. I actually wrote that here.
Yeah. And then somebody grabs her arm and pulls her under the bed, and then there's a big bloody splat, and the bed bounces up and down. It was really cute.
Cute's a weird word, but
I thought it was cute. And then we hear the dial tone, and then we flash to the ceiling of I'm under the bed.
That's the cold open.
That's the cold open. So then the next, it's morning, and we don't know how much time has passed. It's just morning. And we meet Anton, who is Devon Sawa, and he wakes up, and he goes from headphones that are plugged into a Walkman, an actual real-life tape cassette Walkman.
Right, he takes off the plugged-in headphones and puts in the portable headphones, which at first blush to me, I was like, that's a funny joke, but it's exactly the same as my car piping me music from my phone to my hearing aids, immediately picking up the song when I exit the thing. So
same thing.
Anton's just ahead of his time.
Just ahead of his time. Yeah, just staying plugged in the whole time. So he has his headphones on, and then he has like an inhaler on, like a string around his neck.
Which you know immediately is a pipe. I mean,
wait, we do find that out.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe you didn't grow up the way I did, but it's clearly a pipe.
Right. So he goes down the stairs, and the cat follows him down the stairs, and then starts licking on a blood puddle he finds on the floor. The cat does. And then Anton is like yelling for mom and dad because he's like, "There's no milk, mom. There's no dog food." You know, like keeps yelling like we're out of all these things. Because obviously his parents haven't been around for a bit.
Yeah, maybe. It just feels like this could be a Tuesday for him. I really thought it's just the next... You're right.
I thought it was the next morning, but it wasn't. Later we found out.
The headphones, it's a clue of why he wouldn't have heard all this screaming, because every night he goes to bed.
He goes to bed with headphones.
He does say later in this day
like our son would. He would sleep with headphones, and I'd be like, "You're going to hurt your neck." So we go to a scene where he lights a whole bunch of incense, like 6 sticks of incense. And then we find out his inhaler is a pipe. And he's like, turns on the TV, and we see a news report of killings that have been happening. So it sounds like we have a serial killer. And it's also one day to Halloween. We learned that from the news report. And teens have a 9 p.m. curfew. So I guess he's cashed. His pipe is empty. So he calls his dealer at this time and tries to get more pot delivered. And he's like, "This isn't Domino's, you lazy bitch."
So you got to come over to get it, which is revealed that coming over to get it is across the street.
Walking across the street. So Anton walks across the street.
In his boxers.
And on the way, we meet the neighbor who's walking on a giant monster truck who says, "Nice outfit," because he's wearing boxers, a hoodie, and pink slippers.
This is Randy. He's going to be important. He's got a giant black Ford truck, and he's listening to Motley Crue shout.
He says Ford a million times, but yeah. So Anton crawls into the basement window of the guy he just called, and it's Foggy from Daredevil, and then Seth Green is also there.
So this is Mick, played by Seth Green, and P-Nub, played by...
I think it's just Nub. I think the P is silent.
I tried. How dare you? I tried and rewound. They say P-Nub, or the P is there.
No way.
In the movie.
No way. I disagree. I'm going to be calling him Nub because that's dumb.
Unlike the rest of this movie, you're right. This is the one dumb thing in this movie is the silent P in front of Nub. Gosh.
Okay.
Weird lines in the sand we are drawing already.
So it was funny. I guess the Chronic is cached. I wrote this down.
No. Okay, I know why you wrote this down.
I didn't take a good note here.
He actually, Anton comes in and says, "Pass the Chronic," and the reason you noted it was because
Yellow Jacket's
we watched a show that mentioned Chronic in it, and I was like, no one fucking says Chronic. No one has ever said Chronic, and then this movie immediately proved me wrong.
I know, it was so good. I was like, I literally wrote, "This is what they said in Yellow Jackets last night that caused a small disagreement."
Proceed.
Okay, so then I literally just wrote teen chatter about Anton not having ambition and his life goals, and how his life goal is just to lay around in bed all day while some broad delivers him food.
Some hot broad.
Oh, sorry.
Not just some broad. And all of this is punctuated with ball scratching and dick holding and whatever. These are loser kids that I quasi-identify with. The porn star t-shirts, the chain walls, all that stuff. But it is a lot of, like, gross little, like, testosterone stuff going on.
Right. So, anyways, he mentions how he hasn't seen his parents in a couple of days. And then Seth Green's character is like, "Don't you watch the news?" And then Devon Sawa's character is like,
I hate that
Anton.
show.
I hate that fucking show. I
love calling the news that
show. I know, me too. And then Seth Green's character, Mick, he's like, "The local mailman, iced. The barmaid at the bowling alley, iced. The Feldstein twins at the burger jungle are iced times 2.
Those goddamn twins come up too much in this movie.
Yeah, those are the only other people I remember being killed.
are part of the movie.
It's like the parents and then the twins, and I was like, and everybody else.
Oh, there's characters just straight up introduced to die in this movie. You're like, who the fuck are these? Oh, never mind, they're gone.
Yeah,
there's a lot of death
I didn't
in this
commit
movie.
them to memory.
Yeah.
I was like, you don't matter.
So then we hear a motorcycle sound, and the boys are like, Anton, here comes your woman. Okay. And then, so we look out the window and
You
see...
just got exasperated at your own note.
I did. Sorry. But it was what the movie said. So then we look out the window and we see a very young Jessica Alba. So I actually looked it up because like she looks like she's fucking 15 and she's a year older than me, which makes her like 18 years old during this movie.
And she is, everything's cool. She's driving a motorcycle. She's got a page boy-ish haircut.
Yeah, it's like flipped out at the bottom. She's always got clips in the
Yeah.
top.
She looks like
the little clips that were very popular in
her
the 90s.
clothes are incredibly normal until the third act of this movie where, god damn, it is uncomfortable.
Dressed
She's-
like an angel.
Yes.
Until her angel costume's ripped off of her.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so anyway, so his buddies are trying to get Anton to go talk to her, and they tell him to ask her out for the dance, which he's like, I don't even know what dance are you talking about, because he never goes to school, so he has no idea what's going on. But he notices that she dropped her lyrics book in the street, so they convince Anton to go return it to her. And so I had a comment here, like, at this point, I actually haven't caught any of these kids' names. They haven't actually introduced Mick or...
Anton, obviously.
Well, Anton, obviously, but not Molly, not Mick, not Nub.
Okay.
They haven't actually said
Nub.
any of these kids' names. I'm just like, this is actually a really long time to go without introducing characters. So after Anton leaves his buddies, we see Nub pull some pot out of the couch, baggy out, and they, smoke up their little bong, and Nub has like a booby bong and whatever.
Uh-huh. Whatever is exactly the what
They were hiding
the amount you need to give to this.
They were hiding it
I
from
just
Anton.
remembered something that's gross in this movie later, and I'll
Okay.
Oh yeah, it's a lot gross in this movie.
get to it.
So Anton goes and gets the lyric book, and he like sniffs it and looks through it, and then as he's going to go ring the bell, and then we see Molly. Jessica opens the door before he gets there, or as he's like debating whether or not to knock. And then Anton thrusts the book at her, and then he leaves without even speaking. He just
Yeah,
walks
he has
away.
a little panic attack.
And she's like yelling at him.
The
and he
lyrics are
ignores her.
the lyric book is kind of cute. She does a lot of like ransom note cutouts
Yes.
in there and stuff like that. It seems like a very 90s kind of
very 90s
thing that a teen would do.
multimedia,
Yeah.
decoupage shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I did stuff
It
like
doesn't.
that.
It doesn't fucking matter because
Yeah.
it's not like
Yeah.
she's ever going to pick up a guitar and sing.
Nope.
This is the scantest amount of characterization throughout this entire thing.
Yes, there's very little. So now we have flash to Beaver, Utah.
Correct.
And we're in a jail, and a nun, and it is Sister Liqueur, which is played by Vivica Fox,
Vivica A. Fox.
goes to see a prisoner who is all bugged out with a mangled hand, and she's like, it's gone. I missed it.
Missed it again.
And so we see her walking out of the police station, and she's removing her habit, and she gets into an Airstream, and we see inside that she's chasing something across the country.
Inside
So-
her Airstream with garlic cloves hung on the wall, a pet crow that never comes back. Did you notice
No,
the
I
crow?
did not notice
There's
that.
a living crow that jumps down and
I
like
did not
greets her when she
notice
comes
that.
in.
I
And a
love
bunch
that.
of like conspiracy theorists like
there's a big
boards.
map with like X's on it, and
Which
then and
inevitably
she's like,
is going to
so she's
be-
like looking at news articles. She's like, and wherever she was in Beaver, and she's like, now it's like Bolin, and then she has these. Because
my
Bolin
God.
is where Devin Sawa and his buddies are,
What shape could it possibly make?
and then she draws. Oh my God, I see a pentagram. And she draws the pentagram, but it doesn't connect all
there's
the
like,
fucking dots.
There's like three X's outside
yeah,
of the
I'm
pentagram.
like, seriously, man.
Which is an excellent example of seeing patterns where you want to see
Yes.
patterns.
And then she goes, holy shit. Back to Anton. So Anton has picked up the groceries he needs, the milk and the dog food.
In an alleyway,
And he took the whole cart with him.
which is funny. Yeah, I like that. But this alleyway that he's pushing this cart down is,
Super foggy.
it has small piles of leaves that are supposed to look like they're burning, but they look like they have smoke bombs in the middle of them.
Oh, do they? I
So
missed
it's
that.
just like these burning leaf piles that are putting off this insane amount of smoke.
I just assumed it was super foggy.
Yeah. So this is where he gets accosted by the cops.
Yeah, so he gets accosted by some cops who literally just knock him over in the
Yeah.
fog.
Sorry,
And the
not
cart-
accosted, assaulted.
Assaulted. They literally just like bomb at him and he knocks him over. And it's Sean Whalen from People Under the Stairs.
Oh, that's funny. That is right. That is right. Yeah.
Yeah. And some other guy, I don't know who he is. So they're upset that Anton never asked them to get high behind the gym in high school.
Because, again, we have killed off the two parents in this
Yeah.
idiocracy of a world. And these two cops were seniors when Anton was a freshman.
Yeah.
Anton says that. So they're basically also, they're like 4 years older at best.
Yes.
And now they have a badge and some guns, and they're now being bullies because they got
because they have power, yeah. And he's like, well, you guys were are dorks, so why would I invite you? But whatever. So then they give him a ticket for littering, which, he then takes home to roll a joint out of oregano and nutmeg.
Right. So because his buddies weren't sharing their weed with him, they suggested equal parts of nutmeg and oregano apparently can get you fucked up. So Anton has now gone home to try that.
I like the scene where he uses the dog's tongue to lick the joint closed.
Okay. Everything about this scene is like a proof of a live-action Scooby-Doo cartoon being viable.
Yeah.
Because for this whole scene, which I love, he is Shaggy and this dog is Scooby.
That is true for this whole at-home scene.
Yeah.
You're right. The dog. I was like, the dog's name is Duke. He calls him Dookie.
The height of the humor in this. And what's funny is like Seth Green would then be in James Gunn's second Scooby-Doo movie.
Yes.
All of this, I'm going to talk later about the buffification of the world during this movie that enabled this movie to come out, which Sarah Michelle Gellar as TV's Buffy would be Daphne. All of this, there is a weird sphere of shit that this movie is like rocking in. But I love this scene because the dog is a live action. Yeah, he's a real dog. Yeah, he is. And it's just Scooby and Shaggy running through this house for the next 5 minutes.
He's a very good golden retriever.
Can we just PSA, do not roll a joint of oregano and nutmeg.
Don't worry,
don't do that.
The movie will tell you this.
Yeah, so he takes the smoke out of it, and then he immediately is like on fire, and he runs
hurts
to
him so bad.
Yeah, he runs to the kitchen, and he's like trying to
I don't believe
water.
it will get you high, but I do not think you should have that smoke
It
in
tastes
your
so
lungs.
bad he squirts dishwashing liquid into his mouth trying to get it out. So the movie does a pretty good job at saying, don't try it.
Don't do that.
Okay, so then he decides to make a sandwich, and so like he's like in the kitchen, it's like an open floor plan. He can see the TV all the way across in the living room, and he's like watching a music video. I can't remember which one. As he's making this sandwich, and so he's making this turkey sandwich, and he's like making mayonnaise, and we see him grab a bloody knife out of the drawer, and he makes the whole sandwich and takes a bite out of it.
My note is just blood and mayo. It's the
before
grossest,
he notices the bloody knife he had put in the mayo.
It's the grossest combination of like blood mixing with mayonnaise that turns this like pink.
Yeah,
it's foul.
Gross. So then he's like, "Oh my god, the killer's in my house!" And then he looks down, and the cat is playing with an eyeball, just a random eyeball.
The body part.
And then he runs and he hugs the dog, and it's a nice little face-to-face with him and Dookie.
Well,
so cute.
just before he makes a sandwich, there's this awesome scene with the dog where he's watching the music video and he hears like noise in the house, and he pauses the music video, and then on the movie you just hear a of the dog, and he reaches over and just closes the muzzle of the dog, and then it gets silent. And nothing. And so he releases it and hits play again. It's Scooby-Doo fucking
It was very
front to back.
Scooby-Doo. It was very cute. So then we see another cute little dog scene where he's literally, do we see Dookie getting pushed from off the frame into the hallway? Yeah. You know, where like he's like pushing Dookie out there to like be the first one that gets attacked. So then he does that, and he's like starts to investigate the house. He sees a shadow outside the door, and then he runs into his parents' bed and throws the covers, and he yells for Dookie to come lay together, and we see this cute scene with Anton and Dookie laying
like
in bed together.
What I do like about this is that Anton, yes, is a dirtbag, but also it is pointed out that he is also just a baby.
Yeah, he's a baby.
He's a man-child.
He's a man-child,
Just a little baby. He got scared, went to his parents' room, and hid under the cover.
Yeah, he did. Okay, so then the door buzzer goes off, and then Anton like gets the covers off, and he sees the ceiling that says, "I'm under the bed." And he panics and runs down the stairs, trips, and knocks over Ma and Pa Pumpkinhead, and sees his own. And now he also falls over, and now he's laying in between his dead parents' bodies.
Now, you would think this would be a terrifying, traumatic experience, but Anton is just like a little sad.
He is. He's like, "Mommy?" And then he runs outside to go vomit.
And mom or dad, which one's missing one eye? That's the eyeball.
I can't remember which one.
One of them's missing an eye.
Yeah, because that's the cat eye.
He should be sad.
Yeah.
I mean, he should be both sad and horrified.
You should be absolutely horrified.
Well, because people always, in horror movies, they're just like, but then they never are like, oh, so-and-so died.
That's true. There is a quote-unquote funeral scene in this, but also it's just like, okay, again.
Also memorials.
Let me just put this out there. There's a lot of stuff that's going to happen in this movie. There's going to be F slurs and R slurs that's happening, but I'm going to put a wallpaper over the whole thing that this is I already said it once, an idiocracy. No one in this movie is an adult. No one in this movie is treated as smart or good. So, like, everyone in this movie is dumb across the board.
This should
it softens that blow a little bit.
If Anton, I feel like the first draft of this, Anton was 7 in the draft. They were like, he doesn't do drugs or anything. He's just a 7-year-old who murders people and then is really scared about it. And they were like, no, we got to age him up.
Yeah. He is going to be like, Molly, Jessica Alba, is weirdly freaky and down to fuck in this movie, so we do have to age him up.
I will comment that. I will comment
weird.
about that. Okay, so Anton has run outside to vomit in the bushes. His buddies are the ones who rang the doorbell. So he brings him inside, and he's like, look what's going on. And then they immediately just, like, glom onto the television and don't even notice the dead bodies.
Is this where Pop That Pussy is playing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Pop That Coochie.
Pop That Coochie.
Yes.
So Pop That Coochie's playing, and so no wonder they're not paying attention.
They're not paying attention because they're seeing all the bouncing
Can I
body
tell you
parts.
that
Coochie. It's Coochie, Lindsay.
sings that song all the time. It's like his thing. If he's just like not focusing, he's like, Pop That Coochie.
So
And it 100% comes from that movie.
this movie is wall-to-wall music.
Yeah,
It
Yes.
is something is always playing that's super 90s. And there's the music video he's watching when he's making the sandwich is not banned, but close to, like, not shown a video by a band called Two, which is Rob Halford and John
I
Five.
didn't know what it was.
Most people don't. It just had a bunch of porn stars in it. And then it was followed with Pop That Coochie.
Well, and they literally say when they
and
walk
you
in, they're
didn't
like,
know
oh,
that
I
you
didn't
could
think
watch
you can
this.
watch this anymore.
So
Yeah.
there is like a thing about the music in this movie that's
Yeah.
just like really like you thought you couldn't see this. Now you
Right.
can.
So as he gets their attention to the dead bodies, Mick notices a piece of heather gray t-shirt in his mom's hand. And then Anton notices that he's also missing a piece of t-shirt, but he doesn't say anything. And then we see the word ant in blood on the floor.
Right.
And then the boys are like, ant? They were killed by ants? And
Again, everyone's an idiot.
I know. And then Seth Green character is like, don't be stupid. Do they have an evil ant?
You're giving that way too much laughter. And then the
Then they
onion
find
ring.
2 left ears.
Okay, I hate this. This is so dumb. So during this kerfuffle, an old bag of onion rings tips over, and out of the onion rings comes 2 ears, like desiccated corpse ears, and they go, they're both left. That must mean the Feinstein twins. And
Yeah.
I'm like, why?
Why? Because the earring. The little
well,
earrings.
and they worked at the burger,
burger
place.
place,
The
yeah.
twins worked at the
I
burger
get
place.
it, but 2 left ears doesn't mean twins. It could just be 2 bodies, anybody.
Well, so then Mick figures out the T-shirt part
Right.
that he's holding
Sure.
is actually from Anton's shirt. And he's like, the killer was wearing your shirt, Anton. And then Anton is like, the killer was wearing me.
Right.
Because he notices
Because
the
he knows
paint.
his hands has black light.
paint. Which also, like, I feel like Anton's house has too many random black lights. Like, who has random black lights in 1999?
No. That's a good thing that this movie does. The house is decorated to the hilt for Halloween.
Halloween, I forgot about
Outside,
that,
there's
yeah.
green and red floodlights everywhere.
Forgot about that.
Everything is so spookified that it just fits in because it's a
in
Halloween.
1999, you had to go to Spencer's to get a fucking black light. You couldn't even get one at the hardware store back then.
Well, it seems like these parents were like really into Halloween.
That's just it. That's what I was about to say. His parents are like, in the very beginning, she's talking about a cornucopia, and he's like, we just decorated for Halloween.
Yeah.
Can we
So I
give
guess
Thanksgiving
maybe
a second?
the mother is really
Yes.
into.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah,
me.
Exactly. You're fucking wild with your decorating. So,
She's me.
Okay, so Anton is like, I'm the killer. So then Mick's like, I'm going to go call 911. And then Anton pursues...
what's the number?
Does he say that? I missed that. Anton pursues Mick and pulls the phone plug from the wall. And then he creeps on him and convinces him that it wasn't him as a killer. And then Mick opens the fridge to put something between them. Like, he opens it up to put the door between them. And he's like, do you want a beer? And then Anton smashes the beer. And then we flash to
Did we not see it? happen?
Nub. No, we never see it.
Okay.
We flash to Nub smoking as much as he can. He's just like anxiety smoking.
Yeah, anxiety weed.
And then we see Mick walk out of the kitchen with a bottle at his forehead. And
Yeah.
then
It looks
fall
great.
over. It looks great. And I love how there's liquid in it. You know?
Yeah, little flows. It's a lovely little piece of practical special effects.
Yeah. Okay, so Anton tries to wake Mick up, and Nub is scared and tries to leave, and then Anton's right hand starts to take control. And Anton has no control, and he's like,
Now we're
the
doing-
hand is
Yeah.
dragging him, and
It's like
It's-
the best kind of pantomime because
Yeah,
he's like
it's great.
he's being
Yeah,
dragged
yeah.
around by his hand.
yeah,
This
and
is
so
full-
they end up in the basement.
This is full Evil Dead 2 stuff.
Yes.
This is Bruce Campbell perfected this. And
Devin
Devin
Sawa
Sawa
was
was
doing
doing
he's doing a great job. So they end up in the basement, and he's trying to let Nub go, and he's like, just leave. And he's like, get out of my way. And he's like, just leave. So his hand, as Nub is running up the stairs, grabs the saw blade and flings it at Nub, and it cuts off his head.
Yep, decapitation.
Yeah. And then shocked, Anton sits on the couch and he's like, what have I done? You know, and the Hand is now fighting Anton for control of the television.
Yeah.
Anton wins.
They're fighting and they're switching back and forth. What switches back and forth is cartoons and horror movies.
Yes,
cartoons
it's like
and
Looney Tunes and horror movies, yeah.
Because Anton just wants, he was like, I
He's
just
like,
need to zone out
yes.
for like a second.
Yeah.
Correct.
He's clearly like in shock. And
He's like, I've just murdered everyone.
So Anton wins. He's watching cartoons, and the Hand, in retaliation, grabs the tail of the cat and starts the lasso swinging above his head.
yeets it through a window.
And then slings it through the window.
I definitely blocked that
across
out.
the street.
All the way across the street.
And into the front bushes of Molly's
house. So Anton goes
But-
outside to make sure the cat's okay.
They make sure to let you know there's a meow from the bushes. You never see the cat again.
No, but it meows.
But it's alive.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, because any self-respecting cat would be like, nah, it's
Yep.
staying here. We are out.
So, but then the Hand takes over and rings Molly's doorbell after he's checked on the cat. And so she comes outside in her underwear. And
They're boxers.
yeah.
They're tiny boxers.
They're panty boxers.
The little booty shorts.
Yeah, and a robe. She's got a robe on, but she's not tied it or anything. She's wearing a crop top, tank top, and little baby.
It's almost as if the
Panty
movie
shorts.
wants you to look at her body.
Oh, they do. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so she points out that Anton is a mess. He's covered in blood, and he says he got in a fight with a cat. And she says he got his ass kicked.
What this movie continually points out, and that you need to, as an audience, reckon with, is how gross Anton is.
Yeah,
he
he's
hasn't
covered
had
in
a
blood.
shower in days.
Days.
He's running, sweating, covered in blood.
Yeah.
He's a disgusting
Dirty boy.
Well, I have a quote.
I know,
here.
you too. Okay, so she's ignoring all of the oddness and is basically drags him inside, and it seems really thirsty. And I hate using the word thirsty.
No.
I hate it in this context, but I had to because she is very thirsty.
I use a
for him.
term down to fuck.
Yeah. So we're in her bedroom, and Anton impresses her with how much he likes her song lyrics. And he's trying to convince her how dangerous he is.
And what impresses her more
is that the Hand grabs her butt.
She literally
and she really likes it.
says, I'm impressed. I didn't think you'd have the balls to grab me like that.
Yeah. So they start making out, and the Hand keeps trying to strangle her during the makeout session. So then Anton grabs her robe tie and ties his hand down. And
It's
she's
pretty
like,
kinky.
Ooh,
It's cool.
Kinky.
Yeah.
She's like, you're kinky. And then we... And they continue to make
Remember,
out.
she's a child. I get that she was 18 when this movie came out. She's probably 17 when this movie's being filmed.
Yeah. So we flash to Vivica. What's Vivica's name in Liqueur? What's her first name?
Debbie, I
Debbie,
believe?
that's right. That's why I don't like it. It doesn't work for me. She's not a Debbie.
She's not a Debbie.
I never wrote Debbie once.
I call her V the entire time.
I'm just going to keep calling her Vivica. So we flash to Vivica yelling at traffic. There is evil out there, and I have to kick his ass.
Yeah, this whole fucking movie, I was going to say this later, but I'll say it now. It's as if the bad guy from an episode of Buffy got the wrong directions, left Sunnydale, whatever it was called, and ended up here. And the whole episode is Buffy trying to get to the bad guy.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going on.
So, like, the people watching Buffy are like, why is she just driving the whole time? Meanwhile, this movie's happening.
Right. Okay, flashback to Anton and Molly, and
Now-
there's post-coital kissing, and then suddenly the parents are home.
It is definitely shown as post-coital.
It's definitely post-coital.
Still have all their clothes on.
They do, yeah, but
He's
it is
still tied up.
He's still tied up. Yeah.
So I don't know what the movie's trying to.
Well, they say
it's-
they specifically have the line for it. So.
15 seconds after he discovered that he murdered his parents, he's murdered other
is
people,
what I'm
he
saying.
murdered his friends, he threw his cat across the street,
Life-
and then he was like, oh, I'll just have sex with her now. That's
Just wait
so-
until Tanya fucking dies. No one cares about human life in this movie at all.
Okay, so Molly's like, we have to pick this up later. Baby snakes.
Out of nowhere.
Baby snakes. My parents might take offense to some dirty, bloody boy banging their daughter. And I literally had to pause and back up so I can write down every single word.
Yes. It is all here verbatim because I did too. And it started with baby snakes.
Baby snakes. I know, I'm like, wait, baby
Yeah,
snakes?
what? It sounds like she was supposed to say baby cakes.
Well, they
And she-
say it
Well, it
again.
did, but they say it again. There is confirmation later in this fucking movie. These people, this is a town of like lead paint in all the walls
Oh
that
my
made
God.
every adult has died of cancer because of this lead paint, and every child is wildly stilted. So they have a kiss, and now they have like cute names for each other.
I guess.
Baby snakes.
So she asked him to come by tomorrow and go to the dance with her. And then Anton agrees and he leaves. And Anton now is at a burial scene where he's buried his friends and his parents in his backyard.
It's a lot of work.
He's got the hand tied around his neck.
He dug 4 graves. That is a ton of work.
I'm pretty sure he dug one mass grave, but he didn't do any of it.
What was that?
Like, Devin Sawa didn't do any of it.
In the real world.
You're right. I forgot this movie isn't real. My bad.
In the imaginary world, I would think that he is so amped up. Just adrenaline.
Well, maybe, I don't know. Maybe
4 graves is a lot. 4
graves is a lot.
It is, so.
He has to hide the bodies because he's got a date tomorrow.
Yeah, that's true. He does. Okay, so
that's the level of importance that we have. Just put it in the basement.
So we hear groaning and talking from the grave, and Anton gets low. He gets down on his knees and gets low, and he starts talking to the grave, and then he gets grabbed by the zombie friends, and then zombies are crawling out of the grave. And for some reason, Nub has a shovel.
The shovel was dropped.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And he knocks Anton out with the shovel.
Right. From here on out, I will call these 2 characters the Zomboys.
Me too.
The Zomboys.
I like that. That's nice.
This was my favorite part of the movie when I was younger because then it seems like nobody really died.
Exactly.
Well, this movie lays down the workings of the afterlife in such a fucking bonkers way where you could die if you're good and you die, you could just be like, no, I won't go to heaven.
I'll just become a zombie.
Yeah, because they talk about how they saw the light, but they didn't
literally
go
heaven's
into it.
too far away.
Yeah, it
They're
was
lazy.
too lazy. Yeah,
And they were like, well,
That's why I said this movie's a shrug. The screenplay is like, why are these characters zombies?
Nobody else is zombies.
Yeah, because the parents took the walk to heaven, apparently.
Yeah.
There is a hell also in this movie, apparently. So in this one, the Zomboys just were like, I'm going to be zombies now.
They were very young. They weren't done living.
They're also the best part of this movie.
That's why I was like,
now that the makeup's on them, it's even better.
It's even better.
yeah.
They
That's
look
why
great.
I was like, that was the part I liked the most. That it's almost then from here on out, it is Scooby-Doo because it's buddies trying to solve
a mystery. And Seth Green, I unapologetically love him, everything he
always.
does. His delivery's so good
He
in all of
is.
this stuff.
Yeah.
Seth Green can show up, in anything.
Yeah,
and
it'll
me
make it
happy.
better.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so Anton has woken up in bed again, and he thinks everything was a dream because he's back at where he's supposed to be. He puts on his headphones as normal, and he goes down the stairs. And then he sees his buddies in the living room, but then it turns out that it's the zombies, and it was not a dream. He ducks behind the couch because he's a big baby, and the zombies are talking to him, telling him that they didn't want to go to hell and that they were too lazy to go toward the light, as you guys talked about. Anton asks if they know anyone who knows anything about Satan or the devil, and they know someone who does. And then we flash to the monster truck guy, Randy.
Yep.
So Anton chases Randy down at the memorial for the dead twins at the burger place.
It's called Jungle Burger.
Jungle Burger, yeah. Randy gets pissed that he interfered with him picking up some girl, which is...
It's just not some girl, though.
What's her name? I forgot her name. She's
Tanya.
Molly's friend, Tanya, yeah.
And this is the first time we see this character.
Yeah,
we
we've
think
not
it's
met
a
Tanya.
throwaway character that, to demonstrate how shitty Randy is, that he's trying to pick up grieving people at the memorial, which is just like a bunch of flowers. Unfortunately, we'll get too accustomed to these memorials.
Yeah.
And Tanya speaks about how she didn't really know them, and she thought they were mentally challenged because they both...
They want to go on a double date with her.
Go on a double date. And she's like, but there's just one of me. So instead of going, oh, they're going to double team me, she's just like, I'm a moron too.
Yeah.
Everyone in this movie is stupid as fuck.
Anyway, so Randy drives off, and then Anton runs and grabs the dead guy's uniform, because I guess Randy's getting into the drive-thru. And he wants to go talk to him at the drive-thru. So he grabs the dead guy's uniform, goes into the restaurant, and gets into the drive-thru, and, everybody just lets him in this
scene
building.
makes no sense.
It's like, I'm the new guy. I'm here to, relieve the drive-thru guy.
His hand is going crazy the whole time.
Yeah.
The idea of the scene is that the only way that he can corner Randy is to meet him at the drive-thru.
Yeah.
When he could have just gone around and jumped into his car or whatever.
Anything else.
And so he's having to pose as a drive-thru order taker while his hand is freaking out. And there's a massive bowl of just ground beef sitting next to the cash register that his hand is just like
massaging.
Yeah,
it's
and I'm
disgusting.
like, why is that there? What's this scene? Everything about this is fucking unnecessary.
So when Randy comes in and he orders whatever his order is, and Anton's response is, "Tell me everything you know about the devil." And Randy's like, "Anton." And eventually they start talking, and Randy tells him to keep his hands busy. That idle hands are the devil's playground.
There we go. We got to the thing of the movie.
Yes.
The basic conceit.
So then we cut to Rob Zombie.
Dracula, baby.
And then knitting. So Anton is sitting on the couch with his Zomboys on either side of him, and he's sitting there knitting. And of course, they call him gay for knitting or whatever.
It makes you look queer.
Yeah.
There's so many, like, we've skipped so many of the gay panic shit in this movie.
I have to with 90s movies. So as he's sitting there knitting, we flash from the cops from earlier, have come to investigate a noise complaint because you can hear the music outside. And then they look through the window at Anton's house, and we see Anton knitting between two obviously dead bodies.
Except it's fucking Halloween in a house covered in Halloween shit.
Yeah.
I know that this movie's dumb as fuck, but they go in with guns drawn.
Oh, yeah, because they're like, holy shit,
something.
Anton's the killer.
This Halloween decoration and that Halloween decoration's okay, but two people dressed up as zombies are not?
Right, so they come in with their guns blazing, and then the zombies start talking, which obviously scares the cops so much that they shoot one of them in the head.
Right.
Which, again, they could have been people in costume.
Obviously.
Like, seriously, you should have been more careful.
This is the only gun violence in this movie is by two idiot police officers.
So then Anton decides that, hey, going to jail might actually be the solution because they can lock me up.
Makes sense.
But he can't put down the knitting needles to be cuffed. So the cops are like, they're going back and forth, and Anton's like, cuff me. And they're like, put the needles down. And he's like, I can't, cuff me. And they're like, put the needles down.
It goes on way too long.
I know. It went on really long. And then the hand kills them both.
Finally,
one
a
with a
knitting
needle
needle
through the ears,
ear
and the
on the
other
other
with a
side.
taser. He electrocuted him with a taser on high.
It's
or
a
something?
taser in the face, which wouldn't kill anybody, but in this movie, it
Yeah.
microwaved his face.
Whatever. And then Anton's like, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing my mind. So he decides to cut off his hand with a bagel slicer.
Yep, it's called the bagel guillotine.
Bagel guillotine.
Guillotine.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Guillotine, yes. And
It's hilarious.
Nub is like, that won't even cut my bagel. And so he pushes down on the guillotine, and it does nothing.
The metal actually bends upwards.
Yeah. So then he's like, Mick, grab the electric carver. And so Mick gets the electric carver out, and he does this impression of Leatherface. And...
Look at me, I'm Leatherface.
Yes, exactly.
Which is absolutely it is the fuck you of Trimmers. It is the look at me, I'm Leatherface.
And
But
then
the cord's too long.
or it gets pulled out of the socket, but somehow makes it not work.
Yeah,
I don't know.
They make it so it's like we can't use that anymore because Anton can't walk 3 feet across the room.
So then Anton grabs the cleaver out of the drawer, and then he starts doing like whack-a-mole, and the hand keeps jumping all around as he's trying to whack-a-mole his own hand off. So then he grabs Nub's head, and he's like, bite down, and he has Nub bite down on his hand so he can cut his hand off.
because is Nub's head still not attached?
It's not attached.
Yeah, it's still, we'll get there. But yeah, so they do a really great job with this, picking up the head and moving it around. It's a pretty good special effect throughout this movie.
So then...
Because his head's sideways on the couch earlier, like trying to catch cheese balls.
No,
it looks
it's great. And it's great for 99 because the effects are barely noticeable.
What's hilarious is the head looks great, but the body is obviously too big. So the easier thing they did a shitty job on, but the harder thing they did
a really good job. So the hand is cut off, and then somehow magically Mick grabs a hot iron to cauterize the wound.
Okay.
How did we get a hot iron?
Again, not the nitpicking this movie deserves. So
Okay.
he comes in with an iron that should have been on ostensibly for 20 minutes.
Days.
And cauterizes the stump in.
There's no way these lazy boys turned on an iron. That means it's been on for days since her mom died.
Lindsay, I think there's a height of a temperature that an iron can get to that doesn't require days, but let's move on.
Okay, fine. Mick wraps his stump in plastic bag, and then they're like, hey, do you have any antiseptic? And
In the weirdest product placement I've ever seen, his
Target
stump
bag,
is
right?
wrapped in a Target bag with the logo out.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
And then they were like, okay, we're going to go to some guy's house to get antiseptic and bandages
It's just across the street.
Just across the street.
Nub's house.
Nub's house, okay.
P-Nub's house.
So they go across the street, so they're gone. And then we see on the floor, bad move, written in blood, because the hand is now free.
Bad move, Anton.
Yeah, bad move, Anton. So Anton starts to hunt for the hand, and then Molly rings the bell.
Again, this goes on way too long.
He tells her not to come in. And then the hand starts to attack Anton while Molly is banging on the door.
Yeah, this is another perfect...
And she's like, I'm cold, let me in.
Another perfect Evil Dead scene with the hand on Anton's face, and it looks great.
Yeah. And the hand is stuck to his face. He can't get it off, and then he manages to get it off and throws it into the microwave. And then he starts to cook it, and
looks
it's
awesome.
all popping and squirting as it gets cooking.
Yeah, it looks great.
It's pretty gross. And I wrote gross, and Anton says gross.
You guys are on the same page.
Yeah. And then Molly's like, Anton, I'm coming in. And right as she opens the door, he bolts outside. And she's dressed as an angel and asks what his costume is. And he's like, I'm a fast food employee that cut off his own hand.
Great job.
Yeah.
Again, this movie's a shrug.
Yeah.
Every time something happens in this that like a character wants an explanation or they need to move on to the next thing, the movie goes, yeah, I'm this.
So then the zombies are walking back to the house with the first aid kit. And they come inside and then like, Anton, we have the antiseptic in the bandages, the ouchless kind.
Also, before they went over there, they were like, we have antiseptic at Nub's house. Oh, and burritos.
And burritos.
So they have brought back their microwave burritos.
Right.
Of course.
Yes.
And have they taped his head back on?
Not yet. This is not yet. So Mick decides to put Nub's head back on. And so he puts...
I'm so
he gets
glad
a grill
finally
fork.
you did a thing that I do all the time. I'm so glad you finally jumped the gun on Lindsay.
Well, except for I haven't seen this movie in like maybe 10 years.
So Mick has a grill fork and he like stabs the bottom of Nub's head and then shoves the handle inside the torso.
Also looks
And
great.
Now his head is back on his body. And then they go to microwave some burritos. And they open the gross microwave and then the hand escapes and they're like, whoa! And then they go back to the burritos. They just say, whoa!
Yeah.
And then there's all about burritos.
This is another, I love this Seth Green delivery here where they walk up to the microwave and Nub's like, gross, should we clean it before we microwave this? And Seth Green is like, yeah, and then we'll clean the whole fucking house. No, man, this is not our mess. Like, it's just great
They're
delivery.
going to eat a burrito that's microwaved in a bloody microwave. It's
They're
just disgusting.
dead.
Yeah, that's true. They are dead.
They
You're
are.
right. You're right. They're dead. So we're outside, and Anton is...
I do want to say, I was like, this is the part that I remembered earlier when you were talking that just went into my head when he goes, after he's had his head put back on, and he goes to eat the burrito, and then it
Oh, yeah, we're going to get
squishes
there. We're
out.
going to get there.
Again,
yeah.
you're jumping the gun.
I will talk about it. I will talk
See?
about it.
I know.
It hasn't happened yet.
Okay.
Okay.
Shut up, me.
It's my job.
I feel so vindicated from the howling.
Okay, Anton is outside and he convinces Molly to go to the dance by herself, and he will meet her there. Because he has to clean up the house, because his parents are going to come home and they're whatever. It doesn't matter. And we go into a zombie eating scene. So the zombies are eating their burritos, and so Nub gets his burrito first, and he starts to eat it, and he starts to ooze out his neck, as Jamie was trying to
It
say.
just seems like
And
refried beans
Yeah, just
coming
squish
through his
out.
neck
oozing.
hole. Yeah.
And Mick is like, I know how to fix that. And he duct tapes around.
Right.
That is the scene that is most
Like
just
in your
stuck
head.
in my brain.
Yeah.
Is just refried beans, because
Yeah.
Yeah.
this whole
Goo.
movie's been disgusting, and I was like, ooh, the beans.
Yes, it's gross.
The
And
beans
then
are
Mick
coming
goes
out.
to microwave his own burrito after that. And we flash to Anton, has returned into the house and the hand is gone. And he's upset about them, whatever. Then we're with Vivica, and she's at a bowling alley where Randy is. And Randy tries to hit on her. And she's like, what the hell? And he asks her why she's here. They're like
Again,
drinking
these two
beers.
are just instantly horny for each other in
Yeah.
a way that doesn't make any sense at
No.
all.
And so, like, he's like, why are you here in this town? And she's like, I come from a long line of druidic priestesses sworn to fight a certain evil force that processes the laziest fuck up it can find. It will kill as many as possible and then drag a free soul into hell. She just has to find it. I didn't continue after that.
He just
One correction.
Michael just showed me the
I know.
page was following along
I'm sorry,
where he had it written down.
One correction. It's into the netherworld, not hell.
I'm so sorry.
Uh-oh.
I have my subtitles on.
Hey, Lindsay, fuck you.
Oh, it feels so good when it happens to someone else. It just feels so good.
I rewound that scene over and over again to get every word right. And I missed
You got
one.
close. You got so close. I do want to go back just a second because Randy is bowling with two friends, another couple that he sends
Yeah,
on to the dance.
He does, yeah. I didn't
We
care about
haven't
them.
met these people
At the
before.
time, I didn't care about them.
We will see them again in
Yeah.
a scene coming up. This is literally the movie going, we need to kill two more people.
Yeah.
So Randy's friends are sent off
They
to...
literally are making out right there in the bowling alley, and Randy's like, don't you have a dance to go to? And they're like, oh yeah, fuck, we gotta go do our costumes. And they're like, do you want to ride? And he's like, no, I can get a ride. And that's when he starts to talk
where
to
they go.
Vivica.
It is
Yeah.
literally a movie going, we need tits.
Yeah.
That's what this whole thing is the most egregious boob
She
grabbing
does
I've
have
seen
nice
in a
tips.
movie.
Nice
She
tips.
has, I agree, she has great tips. They are abused in this scene. She started her career as a play. This is Monroe. I can't remember her name. But she was a Playboy model first,
Oh, okay.
and then I guess she did this movie and then went on to soap operas. I think.
Okay. Anyway, so we hear what Vivica's mission is, and Randy's like, hey, I just had this guy Anton saying his hand was doing stuff that he didn't want it to do, and she's like, take me to his house. So Randy takes her to
Looking for
Anton's house.
Anton.
Yeah. So back at Anton's house, we find a note on the fence that says, she is mine.
Mm-hmm.
So the hand is now after Molly.
Right. We've just set up these weird new rules that whatever possesses a hand kills a bunch of people and then wants to grab an innocent
soul and take it to
Netherworld,
hell.
sorry.
Mm.
So whatever. Now we have a clock on Molly's character.
Right. So Anton tells the Zomboys that we got to go to the dance. And they were like, hey, you need some Anton time. You need to calm down. And Anton's like, I am not going to do any more pot anymore.
And Seth the Green, Mick's character goes, hey, I don't want the Kevin Costner speech, is what he said. Again, the movie goes, Anton's going to go through a character change. Shrug.
Yeah.
The movie tells him to stop doing the arc required to get to that change.
Sure.
And let's move on to the next scene.
Okay. So then they run to go steal Randy's car, the monster truck.
Back-to-back shrugs here.
Yeah.
Because Anton pulls down the sun visor and the keys fall into his lap. And Seth Green goes, that's lucky.
Okay, so
movie.
and it's a stick, and Seth Green's character has to shift for Anton because Anton's not going to change who's driving.
Which doesn't matter.
I know, whatever. So
I don't know
Anton
why they even
accidentally
included it.
backed into Vivica, and he throws her across the street.
Runs over Vivica.
Basically. And then, so, they take off, and then Randy very pervily gives her mouth to mouth. And you could tell, he's having this brain thing of, I'm going to do
He
this.
looks up and kind of looks side to side. He's like, I'm going to kiss this girl without consent.
Yeah,
And
but
it's
then her
CPR.
response is, yuck, who's got the barf breath?
And delivered only the way Vivica A. Fox can deliver something, which is not well.
So now we're in the parking lot at the high school. The kids from the bowling alley are making out in a car, and they're dressed in Kiss makeup.
Yep, two of the members of Kiss.
So they're making out, and then the girls take off my top, and then her top is off, and her boobs are out, and he's going down on her, and then the hand shows up. And
He's going down on her, his two hands are up.
And there's a third one in the
the third
middle.
hand goes up in between.
And the
It's
third one is the
microwave corpse
hand, Anton's, and she's really enjoying it, and then it starts to choke her. And then it breaks her neck, and then kills her boyfriend.
Yep. I love when it's like the mom in the beginning when she's killed. Some of these characters, a hand gets their hand on it, and then they explode.
Yeah,
into
for
blood.
some reason they
You don't know
explode.
what exactly happened to them. It's just
Blood.
explosion.
So then Anton and the zombies get to school, and then they find the dead kids in that car, and they're like, oh, the hand is here. And then it goes into the dance, and there's a band. Who's the fucking band? Because they show it over and over
Are
and
you
over
kidding
again.
me? This is the fucking Offspring, babe.
Is that the Offspring?
Yes, it's the Offspring.
I'm like, I don't...
Are you? Of course, they introduce them, but they're singing "I Want to Be Sedated" by
Right,
Ramones.
the Ramones, yeah.
But it's the
Is it
Offspring.
the Offspring? Okay.
Because they later play "Beheaded" by themselves. Also,
Well, they started with the cover, so I couldn't trust
right.
it.
Also,
And I didn't
Dexter
look it up.
Holland, the lead singer of this band, gets scalped in this. This is where this is the second time the Offspring
Okay.
have come to us.
Unfortunately, I get high after this part of the movie, so you might have to butt in more.
So real quick, Lindsay had Galentine's Day yesterday. Went out with her girlfriends. Couldn't finish Idle Hands. So late. I didn't know how late in the movie you had to
I had to leave.
to fucking check out.
Leave.
And has come back stoned.
Yeah, I've come back stoned.
So real quick, let me
This
just...
is where we don't start to trust my notes.
This is the second time the Offspring have showed up in our movies. One was just, we remarked that it opens the faculty.
Yeah, the faculty, yeah.
This is a full, showcase.
It was just they kept showing that band. I'm like, who is this band?
This is the Offspring at the height of their
Okay.
powers,
I mean,
pretty
to be
much.
fair, I remember 99 and driving to the mall with this album in my car.
I just want to take a moment to talk about the lead singer of the band, Dexter Holland. Since this movie came out, Dexter Holland started his own hot sauce company, which became super huge, flew around the world solo in 10 days, and earned his PhD in molecular biology. Dexter Holland is a
Badass.
fucking badass.
Yeah.
That's all I want to say.
Please come on the podcast.
Hey, Dexter.
That would be amazing.
I just went on this weird rabbit hole about stuff and started reading about his achievements. And his dissertation for his PhD was about trying to solve HIV, which he also has a philanthropic endeavor with Jello Biafra from the Dead Kennedys about trying to help and solve the HIV epidemic.
Awesome.
So apparently,
Amazing.
it's beautiful, amazing stuff. We need to find these lights where we can.
Yes, absolutely.
And point them out.
Yes.
Look, there's a light.
Okay, so the zombies, they're in the school, and Anton's like, you guys go this way, I'm going to go that way. And the zombies get distracted by dancing with girls, mainly Tanya.
Yeah, Tanya's there. She's dressed as a devil.
Yeah.
Molly's dancing is ridiculously stupid.
Oh my God, it's so dumb. They're playing music that's like jump up and down shit, and she's like doing this belly dancer, like I'm high, acid trip, hands, I mean,
it's purposefully funny. It's obviously that she's supposed to look like an idiot.
She does look like an idiot. So the zombies are distracted by Tanya, and then we go to the principal who's trying to get his credit card to work on a phone sex line.
Yep. This is Timothy Stack. He's a well-known.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people know this actor has done a lot of like thirsty, horny shows at the time. So his little cameo here kind of makes sense that he's just trying to jerk off.
So he's talking to the phone sex lady, and then he's like, "Oh my God, I can feel you," because it's the hand.
It's the hand calling up his leg.
And I'm like, does the hand pull his dick off? Question mark. Because
Again,
I feel like it's right there.
You're not wrong, Lindsay. It is right there.
So then Anton finds the body of the principal, and then Vivica and Randy get to the school. And we see a scene where the hand is sharpening his nails and a pencil sharpener. And that was one of the most iconic scenes for me to remember in this movie.
It's cool.
It's very thing in...
And here's where I will talk about Christopher Hart.
Okay.
Christopher Hart, in my research, kept popping up, and I looked him up. Christopher Hart's an actor who has only played the Thing in the Addams Family movies, the hand in this, a character called Lefty, which is a decapitated hand in something called Quicksilver Highway. This man's entire IMDb is playing hands.
Hands. That's amazing.
It's amazing.
That's amazing. I love it. That's so great.
That's a job I want.
So then Vivica finds Anton in the hallway, and she's like, I know what's happening. I can stop it. And he's like, how? And then she goes at him with anathema. Yeah. So she's like, I'm going to kill you.
I love that you say athame, just casually.
It's anathema. He bites her, and she...
He is still a little baby.
Yeah, he bites her and gets her off of him, but Randy then grabs him. And he's like, no one touches my Ford, and punches him.
They're trying to kill him because he's possessed by the hand, but he says, I cut it off. And Vivica goes, well, that was a bad idea because now it's loose.
Yes.
And he's like, why is it so bad? It's because the hand's going after the girl, and it's going to get her by midnight.
Yes.
And so now we have a clock on it, but midnight is 6 hours away. And she goes, no,
I wrote that.
Druid time.
It's Druid time. Oh
which
my God,
is 6 minutes from now, which I love. I love it when somebody puts a clock on a horror movie and you're like, but what's the time zone? And she literally
it's
says...
Druid time zone. And I wrote a note here. I'm like, this makes no sense. No American time zone is only 3 hours different from the British Isles where the majority of Druidism would have taken place.
You were so high.
So high.
You did a real Michael job in your notes there.
Doesn't make this make any sense. 3 hours would be in the middle of the ocean. Or we're going to Iceland. Okay. Anyways, back at the dance... So Anton gets on the stage and says there's a psycho killer there.
Right.
And the band kicks him off the stage saying he's had his fun, and then the singer gets scalped by the hand.
Right.
Funny thing is I don't remember that, but I have the notes.
Yeah. So during all this, while Anton is trying to warn everybody, the hand has locked the door to the gymnasium, broken off, so they're trapped in there. Then the hand goes up, pulls Dexter's hair off of his head, and screams. Everyone panics. Shit starts falling down all over the
scaffolding falls down.
Yeah.
The hand cuts the lighting scaffolding free.
The two girls jump into the vent.
Why? Why do they jump into a vent? Okay,
well, because that's the only way out.
In the ensuing panic, Molly and her friend go into the vents instead of trying to leave the building the conventional way.
Well, like I said, the door... Apparently, there's only one door in here. It's a stupid conceit.
That is a fire hazard.
Yeah. And the hand follows the girls into the vents. The vents lead to a weird fan room.
It's a giant, spinning fan.
Yeah, and so they panic a little, and then Molly uses her friend's shoe to stop the blade on the fan. So now the Zomboys have followed into the vent. So they tie a rope that the devil girl conveniently had
It's not a rope. Part of her costume, it's a devil costume, and I don't know why it's there, but it's a whip. She has a dominatrix whip type thing.
And then they tie it on a beam above the fan blades, and Molly climbs down inside the fan blades to get into the hall below.
Right.
And she's trying to convince Tanya to come down, but she's too scared, and it's too far. And then the rope suddenly goes up, and Molly's like, why'd you pull the rope up? And Tanya's like, I didn't do that. And then the rope is around Tanya's neck, and she's being lowered and hung.
Yeah, the hand puts the whip around her neck, drops her down, and she's being hung.
Strangled. Yeah.
And then the hand pulls the shoe out, so the fan starts going again, and it whips her back up into the fan and splatters Tanya all over the
Literally
place.
just wrote Tanya is dead. That's
Well,
all
this
I
is-
wrote.
This is my favorite kill because Tanya goes up, splatters all over the room. The Zomboys show up, and
They're like, this is too much, and turn around and go.
well, Nub is sad because he was making out with Tanya on the
oh no,
on the
I have
dance
this
floor.
here.
Hang
I have
on.
this. Okay.
And Mick is like, I'm not crawling all through this
I wrote
Tanya.
that. I'm not going through this much Tanya.
through
yeah.
this much Tanya. Let's go back the other way. I like the line, I'm not going through this much Tanya.
So Molly runs to a classroom and she's looking through the door.
Okay, now.
And a pot falls on her head and knocks her out. And
Yeah, it's
she
weird.
says, ow, as she falls. And then I have the gore and the...
I did not know.
Yeah.
Let's take a little brief moment here. Just you and me.
Okay.
I didn't know that you were high during this part. I thought maybe you had finished it
No,
before. I didn't know
maybe.
you were high until I came home and you told me that
Yeah,
you
I had to
took
finish
some.
the movie high. Yeah.
So we're getting to the puppet portion of this
yeah,
movie.
we are.
And I'm watching this last night going, this makes no sense. I don't understand what the fuck people are thinking about the puppet portion
I
of
feel
this
like I
movie.
took it in stride. I'm like, I've seen this movie so many times.
Okay.
Like, it was not unexpected for me.
Because this goes into a magical realism
Yeah, it did, yeah,
part
yeah.
that doesn't exist in the rest of this movie.
Yeah, no, it's fine. So Anton finds the hand in a puppet, and they fight. And then a second puppet, like a Dilberty type puppet.
So they go into a classroom that has
Shows
like
up.
a puppet show theater type of
Yeah.
stuff. And for whatever reason, the hand has decided to now live inside the puppets.
Yeah.
It now has a face, kind of.
Yeah.
Go on.
Well, yeah. So
I
now,
just- it's weird.
now he's in. I can't remember what was the first puppet.
I don't remember. The
But
second
the second puppet is a Dilberty type puppet.
On my way over here, I told you that there was a thing that lived in my dreams alone until I watched this movie. It's
Yeah,
this
the Dilberty
goddamn
Okay.
puppet.
So then we're cutting to a scene where the zombies fall through the ceiling onto Anton, and they disrupt the fight with the puppet. Okay.
Right.
So then we hear screaming, and we run into a nearby mechanics classroom where a car has Molly tied on top of it on the roof of the car, and it's slowly being risen on
It's on a lift.
lift towards the ceiling.
And on the ceiling is a pentagram.
Pentagram, yes.
Painted in ostensibly
Yes.
blood. Now,
So-
did you have auto shop in your high school?
Yeah, in the Votech building outside.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it was like
So-
an external
It's
building.
external building, yeah.
Ours was connected, but yeah, this
Small engine repair.
this auto shop is not small. The auto shop.
Oh, we
is
didn't
like
have anything bigger. I don't think we had a full-on auto shop.
Okay.
I think we had small engine repair.
This reminded me of my high school again. I guess I went to.
You went to a more funded high school.
we had an auto shop class where
We
all the
lived
gearheads
out
hung out.
in the country.
So
yeah.
to run over next to the puppet show classroom to see a full-on auto shop is not weird to me.
Yeah.
That is something that we actually my English like 101 class was next door to auto shop.
Oh yeah, no, that was in an external building. So
It's like a shed.
yeah,
No, this was a full-on like.
There's a shed out back next to the football field, but behind the graveyard.
Oh, graveyard's good.
no,
we didn't have
this
a
was on the
graveyard.
front of the building.
There were two.
You
there
went
was
to high school much later than I did.
there was
so.
metals. There was like a shop.
There's a shop across the
and then there
parking lot in
was
the
an
front of the
auto
building.
shop in the
There
back.
was not. Then when I was there was only the building that was across the front parking lot.
Please stand by.
But there was a graveyard behind the football field.
Well, I walked
cool. I
through
wish
it.
I
I
had
walked
a
through it
graveyard
every
by
day
us.
when I had to walk to school. I walked through the graveyard.
I
to
think
get
I
to
drove
school.
past there
Yeah.
on the way. You pointed out stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so anyways,
Now everybody's gonna know where we went to high school.
So Anton tries to grab Molly off the car and just rips her dress off instead.
Just rips her dress off.
So now she's in panties and a bra.
Oops. Yep. Oopsies. I'm 17.
So then here I write Mighty Joe Bong. That's my note.
So much shit starts happening here that makes no sense. So the Zomboys are trying to help. Like, they're trying to lever the mechanism to make the car lower, and it's not working. Mick, Seth Green's character, goes, "Oh, I know," and reveals under his sheet almost an
They're
exhaust
muffler bong.
manifold
Yeah.
of a bong,
yeah.
and says these auto shop boys know how to engineer.
Yeah.
Don't know why he knew it was there, but it is a giant stainless steel bong that
Well,
he
the
calls.
entire time Nub keeps saying, I made this.
Yeah, but he didn't.
I know.
He's lying.
But he calls it Mighty Joe
he
Bong.
even said he was saying earlier that he made the ashtray too.
Yeah, he
so,
did, yeah.
So Seth Green's character calls it Mighty Joe Bong. This is going to save them.
Yeah.
They
Then get
light
high
up
for strength.
for strength supposedly, but Anton doesn't smoke for himself. He takes a big hit and blows it into the
hand
puppet
puppet, yep.
to make the hand high.
Yeah, so then you see like the puppet's eyes cross because puppets do that.
Now
and
the puppet is changing face. So the puppet
That's
was
why they needed it on it, because they needed you to see the hand is hot.
it pisses me off so much. the puppet was a goofy Dilbert, then it was an angry Dilbert, and now it's a stone Dilbert. I'm like, what the fuck
And it just
is
like
going on?
Well, now that the puppet is high, it just falls off, stopping the lift, just
Can I
automatically.
ask you, well, the hand falls out of the puppet. Can I ask you how a decapitated hand gets high?
I don't know. It breathes? I don't know.
How is it moving on its own? How is it possessed
It's the
by the
spirit
devil?
inside. Okay, so then Anton is trying to lower
How
the
is
lift.
anything happening?
As Anton tries to lower the lift, the hand
If
takes
we
a leap
allow
at him.
everything, if we don't have standards, Jamie, then what are we even doing here?
So Anton is trying to lower the lift, and the hand takes a leap at him. Vivica runs in and throws an athame at the hand, piercing it into Mac's chest. The hand then poofs out of existence.
And
Mick's
even
like,
Mick
that's
goes,
it?
that sucks.
That's it?
Again, the
No
cinematic,
explosion or hellfire?
the cinematic equivalent of a shrug goes, I'm glad it was solved, but that was anticlimactic.
And who
It
says
just-
time for ritualistic sex? Who says that?
that is
I wrote
Vivica A. Fox's character
Oh,
to
yeah.
Randy.
That's right.
And he goes off.
And then Molly's like, hey, I'm still up here. Anton cuts Molly loose, and they make out under the car. Marijuana saves an
see?
otherwise disastrous day. Mick grabs a bong and takes a hit, but knocks into Nub doing so they knock the car down, crushing Anton.
Yeah.
Then the garage opens, and there's a white light. And
For some
zombies
reason-
go into it.
For
the
some
car.
reason, heaven comes calling to the Zomboys.
Yeah. And they're,
They
because
walk into the
Anton's
white
dead.
light.
And they're like, hey, you coming, Anton?
Right.
And then we cut to see Anton in a full body cast in the hospital, and Molly is drawing a heart on his cast.
She says, you
and
denied
feeding
heaven
him.
for me.
Yep. And his buds come to visit as guardian angels instead of zombies.
Can I just say, I want this movie to be true. I want this to be the afterlife. I want to die and be good enough to be like, do you want to go to heaven? And because I want to be like, nah, I'm going to be a zombie for like 7-8 more years. That seems like fun.
So then as the angels leave, they shut off the light, and the ceiling reads, I am under the bed. And then Anton screams. And then they walk through a nurse.
No, they don't walk through. They go walking down to go to the vending machine, and they say, I'm going to walk through a nurse. And one of them says, careful, some of nurses are guys.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Because we got to have a little gay panic right at the end.
Yeah.
And that was this fucking movie. What do you think of the movie? I mean, are we fine? Do we need to do this part?
If I hadn't been taking notes, I probably would have enjoyed it less.
Oh, interesting.
Because
it's called podcast eyes. That's
Yeah.
a new term
Sure.
we have come.
Because I'm going through it in podcast eyes, I'm noticing more nuance that makes me appreciate it more. If I was just watching the movie, I would have gotten bored and started playing on my phone.
Yeah, it's a pretty dumb movie. I like that this was one of the cultural American touchstones of mass shootings that was
Sure.
talked about.
Well, and I loved this movie. Like when I was younger, I've seen it a handful of times.
Yeah,
I-
that's why I was
I-
like, I've seen it a few times. I just haven't seen it in a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've seen it 2 or 3 times now. I think I like it less every time I see
Sure.
it because it's not for. I mean, we're getting further away from the Janko jeans. And I guess they're back now.
I have learned through this podcast that in 25 years ago, if I had somebody that was like popular growing up that did a subversive movie, that was so important to me to
Yeah,
watch
that's cool.
and love the subversive movie and to watch this person step out of what was expected from them. And so I probably watched those more often than anything.
I like that.
So,
Because I've never watched Casper. I didn't have
Right.
a soft spot for Devon Sawa. So
Really? Don't
this
want to call
was-
him Devon Sawa.
This was one of my first times he got on my radar. Obviously,
Yeah.
Final Destination will be later, and then he disappears for a minute. So yeah, I love that. It's like you had in your like maybe rebellion, you saw that curve in Devon Sawa as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
It was nice. If you haven't ever seen it, watch it. If you have seen it, no need to review.
I mean, really, I would say you don't even need to watch it.
yeah.
It's fine.
It's
It's
a movie of its time.
absolutely for real.
Yeah.
I guess the only thing left to ask is there a question from John?
Yeah.
For the first time, live on the podcast, we've got John.
Live John.
Live John.
Not Zombie John. All right. So you're doing Idle Hands.
Correct.
So I want to know the 3 main characters in this movie. First movie, best movie. For Seth Green, Devon Sawa, and Eldon Henson.
First movie and best movie.
If you want,
I don't know anything of
Okay,
Elwood
so let's
Hansen.
start with Devon Sawa. First movie, Casper.
Best movie, also Casper. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
So it's both first and best.
Yeah, first and best. So Devon Sawa first movie was Casper for me. And I don't know, best movie is going to be hard for me because I loved Now and Then as a child, but that was not really his movie.
You.
But yeah.
But he's in it. So
but I have rewatched it as an adult and I still love that movie. So yeah.
I mean, honestly, first is going to be Final Destination.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Probably best.
Probably best movie too.
Yeah, for me.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good movie.
Casper.
Casper.
All right, Seth Green.
First
movie, Airborne.
Really?
With Jack Black.
Makes me laugh so much.
What's Airborne?
With this rollerblading movie from the 90s.
It's
He's
like
from Cincinnati.
Oh my God, I love
Wiley.
that. Wiley, I remember that movie. I loved
Black
that
did it.
movie. He had long hair and a bandana and a leather jacket, and he thought he was so cool in that movie.
I mean, that kid has acted his entire life.
Yeah,
Like
he was like a child, but I remember that movie, Airborne.
I'm allowed to cheat, right?
When you
I
said
can
Airborne,
IMDb
I was
this
like,
shit.
that is hilarious. I think the first thing I remember Seth Green in is the Austin Powers movies.
Oh, sure.
I mean,
That's-
Scott Evil, he's so funny.
Yeah.
Trying to remember what movie it is that I remember him as a child in. He was a kid in
Do
something.
TV shows count?
Sure. Yeah,
Sure.
first
I mean,
first role, best role.
I am never going to not love Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the show. I mean, we tried to rewatch it. Everyone's crying the whole time in that show. It's hard to watch, but Seth Green as Oz the werewolf maybe even like influenced
Sure.
my werewolf shit. So
Sure.
I love Seth Green in, I would say, best Buffy. First is, I'm going to cheat. Someone else.
I mean, I don't know about best for Seth Green. He's just like so pervasive in my entire life, but can't hardly wait. It was hilarious. He was such a dumbass.
Did you ever see him in Party Monster?
I
Oh, God.
have not seen Party Monster.
Party Monster. That's it. I don't have to look it up. Party Monster is so
Not seen
fucking
it.
good.
Yeah.
Macaulay Culkin.
I
Seth
know
Green.
what movie it is. I've just never
Not
seen
fun,
No.
not terribly funny. I mean, it's funny, but it's a rough watch. But it's
Right.
great.
it. So then our last one.
I have
Eldon
no
Henson.
idea.
I mean, this is probably the first movie
Mighty
I
Ducks
ever
and
saw
Mighty
him
Ducks.
Yeah, Mighty Ducks,
This
Mighty
in. Is he a
Ducks.
Mighty Ducks
He's
character?
Fulton.
Oh, he is.
He's Fulton.
He's Fulton in Mighty Ducks.
Seems like for me, he
Well
was
done.
foggy. He was just foggy.
So I'm saying first Mighty Ducks, best Daredevil the show.
Daredevil, yeah. Daredevil.
Nah, it's still Fulton. It's okay.
Okay, that was the end. Mikey?
Oh, shit.
Well, we also have to do.
Oh, yeah, we need to roll for
We need
next
to roll.
episode.
So our 13th episode is coming up, and we are trying to figure out a way to enter these big franchises. And the best thing that we have come up with is to roll for parts. We're going to enter, so far, 3 franchises, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Halloween, by simply rolling a 10-sided die. And whatever number comes up, that's the part we're going to watch.
Right.
This is going to be awesome, or this is going to fucking suck. This
Can I point out
is
something real
the
fast?
first roll for parts.
You're making 10 timelines right now.
Oh, yeah. I'm dreading if this comes down as 7.
Which one's 7?
I'm trying to
The
figure out.
worst timeline, obviously.
All right. So our first roll for parts is for Friday the 13th for our 13th episode. Whatever number comes up is the movie we will watch. All right. Which part of Friday the 13th will we watch on our 13th episode next time? What is it?
That is a 9.
Fuck.
What is 9?
Jason Goes to Hell.
Oh, no, it's the only one I haven't
It is one of the worst ones.
Oh, no.
I'm so sorry. We did a bad job, but we got to stick with the conceit.
Yeah,
God, this sucks.
it's a 9.
It's a 9.
Jason
Goes to hell.
Jason
All
goes to
right.
hell.
Just
So-
right between he goes to Manhattan and he goes to space. Jason has to go to hell.
been worse.
Next episode.
I don't think it could have been, actually.
13th episode. Jason Goes to Hell.
Jason Goes to Hell.
Yeah.
So, you have just witnessed another episode of the Creature Popcast. I want to thank our producer, Jamie. You can find her at cherrystreetstudios.com or cherry_street_studios on Instagram. She makes it sound so good. Sometimes Lindsay and I do this whole thing speaking in tongues, and somehow Jamie just makes it work. Thanks to Kevin MacLeod for all of our music. All of our art is made by Lindsay and myself. You can see it and our t-shirts, our episodes, our stickers, and our custom-made bongs at creaturepop.com. Until next time, love you, John.
Love you, John.
Love you too.
Oh, I love that.